What's up guys, in today's video I'm going to be installing the Add W1 oil catch can for my Focus ST. They sent this out to me to install and review, so I'm going to unbox it, show you how to install it on your Focus ST, and then I'll also kind of review it as I go along. And after a few months or miles of driving the car, I will do an update video to show you how much oil it has caught. But before I get to the unboxing, I'm going to kind of go over what the main purpose of an oil catch can is and why you need one, especially for the Focus ST. But the main concept behind it is you will have vapors and oil coming up from your crankcase that need to be ventilated so the pressure doesn't build up. And with those vapors coming through, you also have oil and buildup that will be passing through the PCV lines and back into your intake. But you want the pressure and the vapors to go through, but you don't want the buildup and oil to pass through. So kind of why it's called an oil catch can is it catches the oil and keeps it from going back into your intake, and it just lets the vapors go through. And the main reason you don't want this on the Focus ST is because LSPI, low speed pre-ignition, is like a big problem and the main reason of the motors blowing up. And you want to keep this buildup out of your engine because it can help increase the chances of pre-ignition happening, and it's also just good to keep your engine clean, and that's what an oil catch can will do. So let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. So let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. The box looks really nice, has a little window right there so you can look into there. I did already take a look at this just to kind of see what all comes in the kit and everything, so I'm familiar with it before I unbox it, so everything's not like the original position, but it was packaged very nicely, and the box has a nice look to it and everything, so that's always nice. So let's look inside of here. So you can see the catch can is in its own separate area with foam and everything to protect it. And a nice thing about this kit is it comes with its own hoses, and as you'll see in a little bit, I've already had a cheap universal catch can installed, so I already have the hoses ran, but I'm just going to go ahead and reuse those. But I'm not going to show you how to install, I won't be showing you today how to install these, but I have footage of how to install the lines and which side to connect them to and everything. So I'm going to put that footage in with this video when that time comes. But you can see these are really nice hoses. They have like the lines in here, like the metal to keep these from sucking shut. Like a lot of the cheap kits, they'll have really thin hoses and they can like suck shut and get clogged, and these are branded by Add W1 as well, and these are already cut to the perfect length you will need, so that simplifies it if you're installing this with this kit. But I won't be using these just because I've already done it and I don't want to take the intake manifold off again, but this is nice that they include them. Next, you have a full kit of instructions and just kind of like an overview of the actual catch can kit itself and a sticker, so that's nice. Kind of show you a quick look at these. This just kind of shows you like the kind of what the oil catch can looks like inside and just the label and everything like that. It does have a baffle, which is really nice about this kit because you don't want oil from the catch can getting sucked back up into the PCV system. That can just cause even more damage. And this actually looks like a pretty nice kit of instructions with pictures, so it even shows you the hose that you take off and where you put it on and everything like that. So this is actually a very nice set of instructions with this exact catch can and the bracket and everything. So that is nice that they included that. And then this little plastic package here, which is nice, branded by them and everything. You can see it's a metal bracket with these two screws. Will attach kind of the front of the engine, kind of next to like the intake box, and this is what holds it. This is actually like a decently heavy piece of metal, nice and thick. It's not going to bend because you don't want this like flopping around, because then that can slosh oil up back into the system, which is not good. You can see these two bags here, screw and washer. These attach the bracket to the car, so that's always nice to have these like kind of dress up the inside and add some color to your engine bay. They're labeled by Add W1, but they're red, so those are nice. And then in the last package we have the hose clamps and the fittings, which will screw into the catch can that the hoses actually go onto. So now let's take a look at the actual catch can itself. It's pretty heavy. You can definitely tell this is a quality made item. It has a dipstick up on the top so you can check your oil level without having to actually take the bottom off, which is nice. It even has lines on there so you can tell where it is, and it even has an O-ring right there because some of the universal catch can kits don't have O-rings and they leak out of the dipstick, which causes problems. So you can see they're labeled inlet and outlet. And also something that's cool about the Add W1 kit that kind of sets them apart from other kits is these color rings that they have, which you can remove and switch. Mine came with the red one, which is great because that's kind of the other colors I have in my engine bay. But on their website, they have tons of different colors of these, so whatever color scheme you have, you can get one of these rings like that. And you can see right here, they have a quick drain where you can just take this out, drain it, and you don't have to unscrew this. But it's not really in a hard to reach area for Focus ST, so I'll probably just take this off when I drain it. And it also has some thread seal tape on there, which you will need for installation when installing the fittings for the hose. You can see the baffle there, which is really nice. That keeps the oil from going back up inside of here and getting sucked back into the system. And there's an O-ring right there too to keep everything nice and sealed. So that's pretty much what all that comes in the kit. So now we will get to the installation. So before we get to installing it in the car, we'll want to install these fittings for the hose right here, and it comes with these O-rings. You can just slip those over the threads like that, if it'll focus on these. And then just, actually before you screw them in, you will need some Teflon tape. Why isn't this focused? To seal these, so you just take off a little bit of this and wrap it around the threads and then screw it in here to ensure that you get a nice tight seal. So here's what they look like with the Teflon tape around there and the O-ring, and now you just screw them in like that and get a nice tight seal. I'll get a wrench to tighten those down in a second. And just get both of them in there to make sure that these are sealed tight because you don't want these leaking. Just going to tighten them down a little bit more like that. They don't need to be super tight, just enough for the O-ring to have enough pressure on it to seal correctly. So there we go. Now you'll need to remove the engine cover. Just snaps off like that, and get that out of the way just so you have a little bit more room to work. And you also need to take it off when you get the intake manifold off. Then just take this little tab right here and pull it up, and that will release those. And then you can take the intake box out, just unplug this sensor right here, set that out of the way, and then you'll need to loosen this clamp right here, and then this is kind of just popped in with some clips, and just kind of yank up on it and pull, and this whole air box will come out because the catch can will be installed right around right here. And also right after this clip, I'm going to include the clips that I recorded previously on how to take the intake manifold off and get the hoses routed under there and how to route them correctly. But you can see I already have these hoses routed, so I don't want to take this off because I had to take the charge pipe off and everything. So I'll just make it a little bit simpler. So right now you'll see how to take that off, and then after that I'll get back to you now showing you how to install this kit. We'll be removing the intake manifold just with a 10mm on these two extensions to get to a bolt. There's a bolt there, 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 and then there's one down inside there. And just make sure that these are unclipped so you can pull it back and get all those bolts out and then pull the intake manifold back. So I'm going to try to remove the whole intake manifold. So you'll need to unplug the sensor right here, and then there will be this sensor right here, which is on a little clip, and just pull to the left and it'll slide off the clip, and that is loosened up. Make sure this is all loosened up, and if you have a sound symposer or routed to true vacuum, make sure you take this off. Then you'll have to loosen this clamp right here at the bottom of the intake manifold. I was able to get a screwdriver down in there and loosen the screw. And once you have that loosened up, you should be able to pull the whole intake manifold out. There is a sensor that plugs in right here. It's this one right here. I spent so long trying to get this one out because I didn't know this red tab was here. But put your fingernail under this red tab and pull it out. Then you can get this sensor out of the way. And then you can just take off the intake manifold off the charge pipe, and it comes off just like that. And now it'll be a lot easier to reach down in there and get the hoses set up. Now you'll need to remove this hose, remove this piece off of the hose here, and then remove the hose off the green piece right there. Used a razor to cut this hose right here to get it off. It's kind of like a plastic hose. It's really hard to get off. So I just cut it with a razor, and then I'm going to do the same thing to get off this piece right here. Next, you'll want to connect one of your hoses to this plastic piece that we took off earlier, and then clamp it back into the intake. And then take your other hose and clamp it back onto the green piece, and I added a zip tie on both of them just to make sure that they stay clamped on there. Next, you'll want to reroute the hose from the PCV side right here. Make sure that this is all connected and good right there. Then you'll take your hose from there and put it on the inside of your catch can. And you will take the hose going from the intake manifold and connect it to the outside. Now you'll have a lot more room to work in here, so next thing you'll need to do is take this clip off of right here and also remove this bolt right here. To do this, you can just clip that wire out like that, and then these clips are kind of hard to get off, so just take a flathead screwdriver and pry this off of here, and then we will start installing the bracket for the catch can. So now we are installing the bracket. So you can just there's this bolt right here which was already in the car, and you position the bracket like this. You can see these two silver pieces go behind the plastic. So right here it goes underneath, and this one goes behind. So I'm just going to take one of the bolts supplied with the Add One kit and put it in the middle and just hand thread it in to hold this in, just to get this piece held in so we can get all of the screws or all of the bolts in. Then we're going to start here. You just kind of put the screw through. Be careful not to cross thread them. So you can see those two bolts are in. Now just take the last bolt that was already in the car on this little hood latch piece and put that through right there. And then we will just screw this piece in and the bracket will be mounted. Here's what it looks like when the bracket is installed. You can see how the bolt goes in through there onto the other side of the threads, like through this plastic piece. Same thing with this one, and then on this piece you just use the bolt that was already in the hood latch part. This is a solid bracket, it's not going anywhere. And now we need to install the actual catch can itself. And you can see it has all these Allen screws right here where you can install it in these two holes, and all you have to do is take these out with an Allen key, and you can kind of orient it however you want. I'll show you how I orient mine, just kind of depending on the best way for the hoses to run through all of these other like wiring and stuff like that. And also something that is cool that they included is this piece right here in the bracket is actually meant for this clip. So you can clip it on top if you want, but in their pictures and the instructions, it showed on the bottom. So you just push this clip up through the bottom like that, and you can see that's solid in there, and then you can snap in the wire that was originally there like that. So now this wire is not going anywhere and it won't get caught in anything because it's attached to the bracket. So now I'm going to attach the actual catch can to the bracket with these Allen screws right here. You just take these out and can screw them in here whichever way you want and orient it in whichever direction you want. I'm just going to do that off camera to decide which way is best for it to fit with these hoses so it won't get caught in anything and it's not in the way and these aren't getting creased. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So here's how mine is mounted. I have it screwed in on these two far screws over here, and I have the hoses kind of ran around this wire, like this clump of wires right here. And the one hose goes on one side of the wires and one goes on the other, as well as the vacuum line for my blow-off valve that I have routed to true vacuum. Then once your two hoses are on, you can take this cool little hose clamp they include, which I've never seen something like this before, but this is actually pretty cool. It looks a lot better than normal hose clamps. So you just put this piece underneath right here and slide that as forward as possible, and then hold this right there, and then you just take your Allen key and screw it in the top, and that will hold the hoses on so they don't come off. It's a pretty cool design by Add One, kind of make it look a little bit nicer and more premium. Be sure to tighten that down without stripping it, just so they are on tight. And just like that, the two hoses are nice and tight on there. Kind of pull on them and wiggle them to make sure they aren't going anywhere. And there you go. That's what it looks like when the clamp is on. If you look here at Add W1's instructions, you can see that they show how to cut everything just like I did in my video. And you can see here's what it looks like with the intake manifold off. And you'll see the PCV hose right there, that part. That is the one that is routed to the inlet, so the hose will go from that all the way to the inlet, and the one from the actual intake manifold will go in towards the outlet, and that the air will flow to the inlet and then out the outlet just as they are named. And you can see here is a picture of this. The shorter hose goes to what it says the engine connector fitting, which is the one actually on the engine. So the shorter of the hoses supplied with the kit will be the one that connects on the engine, and then the longer hose is the one that connects to the intake manifold. And all of the pictures and the instructions are really nice, and they show you how to install it correctly. But now that the kit is installed, it is time to put the air box back in and this rubber piece back in and get it all installed back together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to leave the link down in the description to where you can buy this oil catch can from Add W1. I would highly recommend it. It is definitely a quality part. Everything seems super strong. I think it's going to work great. I will be making an update video on this in a few hundred miles or a few months whenever this has had enough time to catch some oil. And I'll be taking it apart to show you what it looks like on the inside and how much oil that it has caught. But there'll be a link in the description. Go check it out. Go buy one of these if you don't have a catch can already. This is a great upgrade for your Focus ST. It's probably one of the first things you should do to help protect your engine and make it last longer. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.